That's right. I mean, we heard Trump yesterday. And with Trump, right, he's firmly behind you until he's not.
Okay.
So we will see how this plays out. But for right now, we definitely are hearing Trump and the White House stand behind him. I think also it's important to remember how much political capital the president spent on getting Hegseth confirmed. I think that's a factor here as we're sort of looking at this, because the Hegseth confirmation battle was the hardest one, and it's the one that Trump really got personally involved with, and he spent a lot of his own, capital and influence on this. So I think having Hegseth leave just a few months into the administration would be sort of a admission that there was a mistake there, which is not something we see very often from the president.
Not on brand for Donald Trump. We're not even at 100 days yet, right? We're about 91 days, I think, is today.
100 days.
He doesn't want that headline. Didn't get through the first 100 days. You wonder if that milestone means something to him, but it also could weaken Pete Hegseth in the long term, internally, could it not?
Yes, and I think we're seeing the Pentagon right now really in turmoil. I know you've covered this on this show, but what we saw from Hegseth this morning was a really defiant in the face of all this. As you mentioned, he's been through news cycles like this before, but he's very defiant. He's blamed the media, which is something that this president and this White House and this administration, it's something that they revert to sort of reflexively a lot. Sure. I will say that it's as watching those clips from this morning, it is interesting. He did not deny the existence of the chat.
I'm glad you mentioned this.
Yes, I was going to say he did not deny the existence of it.
Called it old news, so apparently he thought we already knew about it.
Right, and so and it was shared with his brother and his wife, among other people. Sensitive information. He says that it was unclassified, and I think also it's the venue for where he did this defiant sort of. As he's defending himself. I also just want to note that, he went on Fox and Friends on Fox. Hegseth is a former Fox News host.
Yes,
he was appearing with his colleagues.
That's right.
He not only was a Fox host, but he was a former Fox and Friends weekend host. So it's a very friendly format
in the
for
franchise.
Him.
Well, Brian Kilmeade, who did this interview at one point, referred to how difficult it is. You're trying to just keep the world under control, and we know what a hard job that is. So they clearly wanted him to have a friendly environment.
That's right.
You wonder if he advanced the story at all here, because you're right. He acknowledged essentially that this was real, that this signal chat was true. He did not deny it. He also made reference to media coordination. Was he preparing to send you coordinates on this? What was that a reference to?
I believe, there's this sense, and you heard Caroline Levitt say this too, that the way they're framing this, the way the White House is framing this, is that there's a lot of opposition within the Pentagon to Hegseth himself, and they're trying to say, there are people there who are just working against and trying to sabotage Hegseth. Hegseth mentioned in the interview this morning this investigation that they're doing on the leaks. We saw the senior aides depart in recent days, and he's also it was interesting to me. He was trying to really distance himself from those people, but some of the and saying just that these as if they weren't close to him at all. But some of these people have been in his orbit, have been close advisors to him for a long time. So that was interesting to me. But overall, just this sense of everything is sort of the deep state, as Trump likes to talk about, and that there's this sort of overarching effort to undermine his efforts personally.
The calls coming from inside the House, even though he brought in the 4 people who were fired last week, who we talked about quite a bit yesterday. And by the way, we understand there could be more. This John Elliott, who was shown the door, or found the door himself, depending on who you ask. If he wasn't in charge, he wasn't going to do anything in the press office. He says there are more bombshells to follow. So we'll park that for a minute. The fact of the matter is, Kate, this has taken our eye off the ball on tariffs and a lot of the other stories that you've been covering at the White House. The president does have an event. It's set for 4 o'clock, the new SEC chair. Will you think he'll make some news? Does he want to bring the press pool in? I mean, this happens every day, right? You go to work, it says closed press, then all of a sudden you're in the Oval Office. That actually happened to me on Friday. Dr. Oz's swearing in was supposed to be closed press, and then they opened it up, and it was actually a great opportunity to ask Trump. Whenever they do open it up and whenever you do bring reporters into the Oval Office, it's a really important opportunity to ask the president questions directly. Yeah, tends to move the markets on a lot of days as well.
That's exactly right. And so, I'm not sure about later today exactly what's going to come out of that. But if there are opportunities for questions, or if there are reporters in the room, or even if we're just waiting for a readout,
sure.
I think definitely there could be.
This is the life of a White House correspondent. You're hearing about it in real time. We only have a minute left, Kate. There was news from the White House of the president, in fact, on Truth Social, had a phone call with Benjamin Netanyahu. Will Israel be the first country to cut a deal on tariffs?
We don't know is the short answer, but I think Netanyahu, made a big show to come in person to talk to Trump. I think a lot of people in Israel, a lot of officials were really surprised by that 17% tariff. I think that they thought that because of some of the overtures that they had made and some of the, how they'd been handling this, that it wouldn't be quite so high. So the White House has said that they are actively considering, on paper, proposals from 15 different nations. And so we will see if Israel is one of the first, or if they do some kind of a batch of them. But
fascinating.
We're not sure yet.